the new decals just arrived and I'm gonna open them with you because I am super curious if these $300 chasing paper decals are actually worth it compared to the normal tile decals that I usually use. So I will say that the overall experience was really good when I purchased these, and it was relatively quick. So I didn't have to wait a long time for them to print them and ship it to me. It took about, I would say, a week in total to get these sent to me, which, because they're print on demand, I thought that was really good. I was like, okay. So I'm feeling really optimistic about this. I'm so hopeful that these are good. Okay, here we go. So it comes with a flooring checklist, which is cool. Let's see what they look like. Oh, pretty. So they are really pretty. This is the pattern I chose because I have an idea for the bathroom that this is going into. But overall, I am impressed. So it's very similar to Snazzy Decal, which is some of my favorite, where it is a vinyl that is removable with a laminate overlay. It's really hard to see in this video, but basically it makes the lamination process is what makes it durable enough to go on the floors and what has led to the success of me having this in my home. So I am super excited to install these and see how it goes. So because these are going directly over my tile, I needed to make sure that they were very clean. So I swept and I vacuumed and then I hand scrubbed them. Nothing against mopping, but I feel like hand scrubbing your tiles, just make sure that all of the grime is actually off. Now, chasing paper only comes in 12 by 12 and my tiles are 11 3/4. So what that meant is that I had to trim each and every one of these tiles by just a tiny bit with this paper cutter that keeps that exact measurement in place. So if you're going to do something like this, I highly recommend the paper cutter. Now, installing these, I was very impressed. They installed exactly how I expected. This vinyl is very easy to work with, but you need to make sure that they are on your tile very good, because the way that I have found success in using tile decals is making sure that all of the edges are very tight. So I will obsessively go over these corners and the edges time and time again to make sure that this vinyl is on very tight, because what is going to cause failure in these is if the corners start peeling up, the edges start peeling up. That is when it can get really messy and we don't want that. Then moving forward, I figured out that I could just install each of the tiles. It was much quicker to do this and then go in and make sure that the tiles were on really quick. So you saw I just had to adjust that one and it pulled up good, and then it actually did stick down good, which was a fantastic sign. Now, I have a pretty simple cuts in most of this bathroom. It was squares and then the rectangles. So when you get to a cut like this, all you have to simply do is just make a mark, and then you can use scissors, of course, but I just personally do not trust myself with cutting a straight line with scissors. So I, again, I'm going to highly recommend this paper cutter. It's a life changer if you're going into a project like this, because it gives you exact even cuts every single time. And I have not wasted any tile in this entire project simply because of that paper cutter. I'm going to give it major credit. So back to the install. It went very well. There were a few cuts that I'm going to show you here in a second that were a little bit more difficult around the toilet. So I'll start off by saying this toilet is, it's caulked. It was that way when we bought it. I know, we need to replace it. So I made a template and I used an old backing of one of the papers that I already did. And this template was exactly what I needed. I think a lot of people overcomplicate this with like a different tools and everything, but truly you just need this one template to make your cut. So I double checked the template before I went ahead and traced it out on the tile to then make the cut on that tile and install it. So I was super lucky. I only had to do this one time. I'm getting really good at this. So I went ahead and I installed this around the toilet exactly how I expected it to go. This was not that hard, to be honest with you. I think people get overwhelmed by the thought of going around the toilet, but because these are so thin and using that template, it only took me a few more minutes just to make these harder cuts. And then I made sure that it was really tight around the toilet, which I think a lot of people get nervous about. So that was very, very good. Now, I will say that this is a fresh install. So I have not fully put these to the test. I have not showered on here. I have not done any cleaning in here. But overall, I'm going to say that these are really good and then check back later for when I do an update in a few months.